true patriot love, in all our sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, everybody. Record of attendance, absent with regrets, declarations of conflict of interest. The mayor, that's right. We have a motion to accept the mayor with regrets. She's in Waterloo at a Federation of Canadian Municipalities meeting.
And we're standing up in front of the Google, something or other headquarters up there.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second by Councillor Berry. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Approval of the agenda, but we are going to have some additions, I believe. Councillor Cleveland first.
I actually do. I have a few agenda items to add. First off, the Pride Rainbow Crosswalk.
We'll put that under, 13A is good.
Communities in Bloom and Doug Melanson.
13B, Doug Melanson, CIB.
And I'll limit it to 3 this time, just because.
Go ahead, we're all set.
I have one more, and that is traffic issues at the Yarmouth Elementary School.
Okay, I drove by there today. You are right, there was a few vehicles out there. Yarmouth Elementary. Councillor Hood, I believe, might have another addition.
I'd like to move a motion in respect to the recent election conducted in our adjacent electoral area.
Okay, that'd be, I'll put that under Colton LeBlanc.
And another thing I'd like to do is move a motion to go into camera and take legal advice in respect to personnel matters.
Okay, that'd be 13D. We'll go 13E for that. I'll put that under personnel. And CAO.
Your Worship, I have a deletion from the agenda. Actually, it may have already been deleted.
It looks like it is already
Already
gone.
deleted, okay. So that was the appeal that was to be
That's
heard
right.
tonight. That'll be at Committee of the Whole in 2 weeks.
That's right, and the building inspector will be there along with the appellants, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Can we have a motion to approve the agenda with all the additions, please? Moved by Councillor MacLeod. Second by Councillor Berry. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary, can I have a motion to accept the minutes of Town Council August the 8th, 2019? Moved by Councillor Don Berry. Seconded by Councillor Steve Berry. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion is passed. Move to accept the minutes of the Water Utility August the 8th, 2019. Moved by Councillor Berry. Don. Moved by Councillor Steve, or seconded by Councillor Steve Berry. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? No presentations tonight. Business arising. Land use bylaw amendment 28 Jarvis Road, second reading. Will that be UCAO? Or that
Worship,
be
I'll yield to
Councillor MacLeod, Chair of the PAC.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I move to amend the land use bylaw to rezone the town-owned property located at 28 Jarvis Road from O1 open space to a comprehensive development CD as outlined in Morris's report.
Do you want to comment? Seconded by Councillor Berry. You want to comment on that, Councillor MacLeod?
Jeff can help me out on this, but as a result of our public hearing tonight, we're moving ahead with second reading, Jeff. And so everything's in process, and hopefully we'll achieve it in due course.
Good. Question? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion is passed. Looks like new business. We did have, I think, 42 Argyle Street, but we did remove that, Jeff. Thank you. Request for decision, capping of services upon demolition. CAO.
Your worship, this was requested by our manager of public works. We have a situation that occurs when buildings are demolished in the town that are connected to town water and sewer, that we need to know that those services are properly capped, both the water and sewer, at the time of demolition. And presently, that is a little bit hit and miss. Good contractors who work with the town on a regular basis understand this is necessary and make sure that it's done right and that we're notified. And people who are doing a single demolition or do it infrequently may not realize the importance of it. So it's important because it ensures that water does not end up flowing underground and undermining property and wasting good water. It also prevents gravel and groundwater and so on from getting into the sewer system. So proper capping is important. So how are we going to achieve that? What we'd like to do is have a $200 refundable deposit with your demolition permit. And so refundable once the manager of public works has been called on site and is able to confirm that the services have been properly capped. When the demolition is complete, the $200 will be refunded back. So there's no net financial gain to the town. It's seen as just simply an incentive for contractors to do what we need them to do with buildings that are connected to town services.
Do we have a motion? Questions, comments, motions? Councilor MacLeod.
I think it's appropriate that I make a motion to approve of the CAO's recommendation as he had described.
And usually, CAO, what would be a timeline? I think that'd be a fairly quick turnaround.
It'd be very, very quick turnaround. So typically a demolition permit is taken out a short while before work actually begins. And demolitions typically happen over the span of a couple of days on smaller projects. There's no reason for us to hold that money for any time at all beyond the completion of the demolition, if the manager of public works or his supervisors are able to confirm that the services were properly capped.
Good. Any other questions or comments? I have a question on the motion, please. Councilor Berry.
I guess my question would be, as a taxpayer or a person that's demolishing something, who would be the person that they would contact to cap and all that particular stuff? Would they go through the town? Would they go through some private industry? You know what I mean? Just curiosity.
Yep. So these are pipes to have proper caps attached to it. If a person doesn't have the skills or confidence themselves, a plumber could do it. I don't think it's a complicated job, but I have to say I'm not a plumber either, so I don't think it's a big deal. It just has to be done and done properly.
Call for the question. Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion is carried. C, request for decision, art exhibitions in municipal spaces. CAO.
So, Your Worship, this one has come to us through our Economic Development Officer, who's had a few requests to exhibit art and craft-type items in Town Hall this year. And since we have no policy on it, I was reluctant to agree to proceed with that without some indication from council in terms of what your opinion would be or what your desire would be around that. So We could be talking about use of the display case in the main lobby. We could be talking about walls within this room. We could be talking about wall downstairs in the downstairs lobby, or even additional display cases in either this lobby or downstairs. Those are the kinds of things that have come forward. And so, again, we haven't got a policy on it. We're dealing with privately owned items of some value and a public space. And so we thought it'd be appropriate to ask council for, before we go ahead and do any work, is it of interest to you? And if it is, then we'll do a little bit of search on policy that exists in other municipalities and try to put something together that we think might work within this building.
Councillor Cleveland.
It's a fantastic idea. I guess it's that simple. We should be supporting the arts, which we always say we do, and we have the space to do it. And so it would be a tremendous opportunity for, you know, especially for many different reasons, but you could have some, you know, really well-known artists display their stuff, some beginners display their stuff. It's just another great opportunity, and the space is there, so I say let's do it.
There going to have to be some exploration, I think, but Councillor Hood, this is to do the
I have
work.
some
yet.
reservations. Have we talked to Art Gallery in Nova Scotia or the other private or cooperative art galleries in town before doing this? Yeah. Have we talked to them?
Go ahead, Jeff.
So a few years ago, we actually sat down in this room with the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia and talked about these walls as exhibit space for art, and they liked the idea. Yeah. And we sought their advice in terms of the color of the wall, because at that time we were starting to think about repainting. And so the color you see above the dark brown is in line with what they recommended. So they have affected some of our decisions around the room, but we don't have a policy in place. And we have not spoken to others other than those who have approached us asking to display items.
The other question and the other reservation I have is this one. Are we going to get stuck with picking winners and losers in terms of who gets in here to put their stuff up? And then are we going to get stuck with, why'd you put that one up and not this one up, and I don't like that one, and all that sort of thing?
Or the concern I had that might follow what Councillor Hood is talking about is if we did something downstairs and the painting's not secured, somebody walks off with a Brian Porter or a Tootsie Eamon or Dan Earl, you know, what's our responsibility? But I think that'll be part and parcel of what you look at. So maybe, like you said, it could be enclosed in the case out there, or maybe a separate case that is encapsulated that somebody couldn't do something like that.
So to finish up, Your Worship, I would be happy to go ahead with looking at it, but in terms of what we look at, to take into consideration the concerns you and I both expressed here.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Councillor Barry, then Councillor Cleveland. Councillor Dawn.
I think I would definitely support the idea of it. I would think that somebody has to look into a time frame. For example, how is it 2 weeks that they leave their product up, or is it 3 weeks? How many other people that want to put something up? Or I like the idea of it being enclosed and maybe locked, possibly, just for our own valuable painting that leaves our property. Who's going to pick up the costs? You know, you don't want the person that's showed it and showed the works and all of a sudden lose money in the big deal because they're trying to show a craft that they have. So I would definitely be, once there's some guidelines, I think we need to investigate what kind of guidelines that we need to put in place to make it workable. We also can't compete against people that have private sellings, like down on the waterfront when we went down there and went into the building, and they had little pieces of art for $10, $15, and so on. I don't think we can't make our place a buying thing. I shouldn't see painting on the wall that says $300. I should see Don Barry painted this.
That's right.
I could live with that. I can't live with it. It's a selling place here, but it would be a good thing to show all kinds of artists that are doing so many different things that we have in our town.
Yeah.
So I would be supporting this.
Yeah. Good. Councillor Cleveland.
Okay. I'd just like to say I can't wait to see the Don Barry painting that's going to be up. First off.
That'd be something.
Second off, yes, of course. I mean, we're just discussing whether or not it's to be investigated, and there would have to be guidelines. But the reason I turned my mic back on again is the idea of winners and losers. You don't keep these here permanently, right? So it's just a matter of you put a few things up, and then if somebody else had submitted stuff that you can't make space for, then you make space for it later. And there has to be guidelines. There has to be also taste guidelines and that kind of thing. So there is a matter of winners and losers as far as it goes.
Time limitations.
Yeah, but there definitely should be a time limitation. It should be an ever-changing scape.
Yeah. And I think Jeff's going to, or staff will take care of that part, I believe. Councillor McLeod probably owns more art than anybody I know.
The Greg Warner is right up there also, yes, for sure. All the comments, Jeff, will be taken into account in our draft policy. And I am guessing or assuming that you work with Angela Collier at the art gallery, and maybe one of the boys or artists, the appropriate artist down on the waterfront gallery. I think it's a win-win for the community, and look very much forward to discussing the draft policy, perhaps at a committee of the whole sometime.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. You're going to have one more crack, and Don, you want another crack at it too? Okay.
Okay.
Well, no, he's going to get his crack, and then you get your crack.
I grab
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So just, going back when we did have the discussion with the Art Gallery Nova Scotia, one of the things that they brought to the table was the curation, the selection, that they would do the selection, the installation, that sort of thing was what we talked about. So that wouldn't be our staff picking winners and losers. And there was certainly a timeline, a reasonable timeline that a piece of art would be here in Town Hall, and then there would be a rotation. I believe the timeline we talked about was a month. So every month you'd have a different exhibit.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm taking notes of the comments and continue to take notes, and we'll do a search for policies, and if a motion passes, and bring it back.
One of my famous words, last comments, Councillor Barry.
I would like to comment on Councillor Cleveland. I want to let you know that there is a painting of me in my office, 16 pictures of me, done by kids 20 years ago. It's still in my office, and I had a mustache back then. Some sad pictures, but I'm telling you. I have it,
I wanna see
have
one
it
of
on the
those.
wall, so it is a
That'll be
painting
guess-
of me
Yeah.
several times.
Good. Thank you. Your first exhibit will be that, Danya. You're going to make the motion, Councillor Cleveland? Yeah. To do the investigation? Moved by Councillor McLeod. Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Thank you. Request for decision, airport stretch sidewalk. CAO.
Your Worship, we were approached some time ago to consider a sidewalk or a multi-purpose trail extending from about the western boundary of Home Hardware all the way down to Arcadia Corner. And we were approached by the Acadia First Nation as well as the Municipality District of Yarmouth. Council had asked our engineering department to come up with an estimate of what the cost would be for that stretch within the town. And so the number they came up with was about $800 per meter, without doing a detailed study of the very specifics. We had no survey or anything like that to work from. So working from their estimate and the map that's attached to the request for decision done by the District of Yarmouth, which shows that 520.7 meters would be within the town. The estimate for the town for the cost of that project would be about $416,000, give or take. So in order to refine the concept and determine exactly what would be required in terms of infrastructure, in terms of storm drain and so on to execute this project, The partners would like to hire and have the survey done and have a consulting firm develop a concept design so that we could come up with a budget and then seek, if possible, cost sharing from other levels of government. In order to do that work, it's proposed that the cost be shared based on the linear meters within each jurisdiction, the AFN, District of Yarmouth, and the town. So what I'm saying, our uppermost cost to do that work would be $26,000. And so to carry it that far and to remind council, this we don't have budgeted. We have not approved to do this project. It is part of our active transportation strategy that was put together about 10 years ago. And so what I'm suggesting to you is to do the preliminary work would not be money wasted even if we didn't proceed with the project immediately. So it's not committing you to completing the project. It is simply committing you to do the preliminary work necessary to have a plan, a concept, or a high-level design that allows you to put together a project budget if you wish to proceed now or in the future.
So with the recommendation, and I like the part about the recommendation because we have several discussions around the table about the importance of the Haley Road sidewalk going out to Stars Road. I think I'm correct, is when I was the mayor, infrastructure, Canadian infrastructure, Nova Scotia infrastructure said, have you got any shovel-ready projects? And I think Councillor Hood, when you're sitting on council, you did designs on Pleasant Street, right? So we had something that was designed, costed, and ready to go, and they came, they said, we need something like, it was a short period of time. It was like a month or less than a month. So you're not going to get the design work, you're not going to get the costing on a project like Pleasant Street in less than a month. And we presented those guys with the estimates, just updated some of the costings, and we got approved. I think that was almost a $5 million project. So I think it's going to be money well spent. I think that other one, Don, Councillor Berry, is still going to be on the radar, but I don't think it's going to cost, it's still on the radar, but I don't think it's going to cost, I think the cost is good for future development, especially with the active transportation plan in place. But I think this is really good. I think we should jump on this idea when we're talking about working with our First Nation people, working with the municipality. Jim, this could be the first meter of the new amalgamated municipal units that you're talking about. But I think this is a good idea. And Don, I don't think it's going to impede what we're going to do on the other part of the project. So did I take some of the words?
Whose turn?
Yours.
Okay, good. I guess my first support would be for Haley Road down. My first support would be, I would be 100% if you would make me a survey or a group or something put in paper that says what it's going to cost for that section. I feel if we put a cost on, and I love the idea of it happening out there, but unfortunately, if we put that first, I think that will take priority over the section that we've been planning on for the last 3 years that I've been on council. And I find that I just feel that if we're going to cost out something, I think we need to cost out both, unless it's already been done. And if it has been done, then I'll eat my words. But
Show you that picture too, Don.
But if it hasn't been done, then I would say I would like the Haley Road stretch all the way past the church, all the way past down to
the
Stars
Petro
Road,
Canada, yeah.
Petrocan, and then I would support the next one as my second choice.
Yep.
Okay, but if it's already been costed out, then I'm good.
Okay. Councillor Hood, you don't mind if the CAO says one word before you come in? Okay, you can say 100 words. CAO, and then Councillor Hood.
Your Worship, that project was also asked for staff to price out. the whole thing, and there are 3 segments that were priced out of that, and the total was 1.4 million, but it could be done again in segments, and it may be able to be done cheaper than that. And I'll give you an example. We did have a very preliminary discussion with one of the significant property owners along there, and they were okay with us maybe entering some kind of arrangement to build the trail on their property to save us significant infrastructure costs around stormwater. So that project, and we've been very clear to both the District of Yarmouth and AFN that that project was raised by council. You've had a number of people approach you about completing the Haley Road project, and with a large community developed up there with housing development, with a school where a lot of youth travel back and forth to Stars Road with no sidewalk, that was very clearly, my impression was council's priority, and that this project along the airport stretch, based on what I understood council's direction, was that it would have to be after the Haley Road project. So we've been very clear about that.
Yeah. Councillor Hood.
So there's another important facet to this, and it's the whole notion, the whole initiative within the country to move towards reconciliation between the non-Aboriginal community and the Aboriginal communities. When I was a child, our town dump was on the waterfront. It was moved to Pleasant Street, where the fire hall is now, public works shed. When the neighbors on Pleasant Street couldn't stand it anymore and raised enough stink, to put it blunt, our dump was moved to land directly adjacent to the Acadia Band First Nation. That dump was operated out there as a dump and incineration site for many, many years. Nobody here cared about that. Nobody here cared about our Aboriginal brothers that lived out there and sisters. We all know that the dump is closed. Do you think we actually closed it out of concern for the Aboriginal band? We didn't. We closed the dump because Transport Canada threatened to close our airport, when we still had an airport that had flights, because of the seagulls congregating on the runways to digest the food they picked up at our dump. It's time for us to move on initiatives like this as a first baby step in our efforts here as a town council to move forward and do our little bit towards contributing to the national initiative for reconciliation between non-Aboriginal and Aboriginal communities. And I would be very strongly supporting this baby step on the project.
Make that
but beyond that, I would even consider finding ways to move this. If it ultimately receives funding, I would be very strongly in favor of trying to find the money to make the project work at the earliest opportunity we could make it work, for the reasons that I'm giving. It's time to take steps to mend some wounds that exist between us and our Acadian First Nations people, and it's time for us to do our bit with the national government, no matter who's in power, to do their bit. That's how I feel about it.
Will you make a motion to accept the recommendation?
I make a motion to accept the recommendation.
I'll second it.
It's all right, Joe. We're good, buddy. Okay, well, at the end of the meeting, we'll let you talk, okay? Thank you. Okay. Motion's been moved and seconded.
We're not talking sidewalks that are 4 feet wide. We're talking pathways. that
Active
are-
transportation.
Gotcha. Pleasant Street, yeah. Thanks.
That's right. You've been, yeah. Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Thank you. Council advisory committees. There's no committee of the whole last month. Citizen advisory committee. Councillor MacLeod. Questions?
So as a result of our Planning Advisory Committee meeting of September the 10th, 2 days ago. I move that only one item, we dealt with the second item earlier this evening. I move to proceed to a public hearing in order to consider, and if deemed advisable, amend the land use bylaw to permit ownership of pot-bellied pigs as a pet as outlined in Morris's report.
And could I maybe, Councillor Cleveland was at the meeting and the CAO, maybe just go and Councillor McLeod give us an overview of the discussion because it was lengthened and varied.
Do we get a
Do
second?
we have a seconder? Seconded for discussion. I think the first one you're going to talk about that, Councillor McLeod, is chair of the PAC, or let Councillor Cleveland?
I enjoy being chair of any committee that I'm participate on. My goal is to encourage discussion, and I think that we've done well at a PAC meetings in recent times. And last Tuesday night, this past Tuesday, was extraordinary in a way because everyone spoke, and even our CAO spoke, and that was important, and everyone offered an opinion. And the people in the audience, Amanda and David Lumini, are here, and they've been this is their third meeting that they've attended, and the definition of a pig was important. Farm animals was brought up. It was a wide-ranging, interesting discussion, and so at this point, I say I enjoy the chairing. I'll let Wade or the people that weren't at that meeting tonight, or three of my fellow councillors, Cliff, Steve, and Don, if they want to speak and wonder about it. So, Chair, I'm okay for now.
Good. Councillor Cleveland.
Okay. I know I saw a couple of shocked looks when this was brought up, and I have to be honest, I had a shocked look. And as I mentioned at the actual PAC meeting, I am more than proud to say that on this particular matter, I am sitting firmly on the fence. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going on this. I am doing a lot of research on it. It's really interesting. It's been, I have to admit, one of the more interesting ones that I've had because it's there's pros and cons, boys, I'll tell you that. And so here's the thing, just so you're aware, we had a vote on whether or not we should recommend to go to public hearing and bring it here. It was tied at 3 apiece. There were 6 of us there. And I'm the one who voted twice. I changed my vote in order to get it to a public hearing because it's interesting enough, and I have enough of a morbid curiosity, if nothing else. I really want to see this go to a public hearing, and I want to hear what the public has to say about this. I'm more than just a little curious. And so that's why I recommended and changed my vote to bring it to this stage.
And CAO, Morse will be here for that public presentation? You certainly can be. I think that'd be a good idea. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Somebody call for the question. Question. Oh, sorry, Cliff. Question? Jim, could you?
Are we approving the bylaw or are we first reading?
First reading.
Tuesday night,
Oh, sorry.
and the next step in the process was to move to proceed to a public hearing. So we're still in stages, Cliff, to reach a point whether we would allow that to happen.
Jim, going to call the question?
No,
There's no other lights on. There's no other lights on, man. Call the question. Question been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? So that'll be next council meeting. Good. Thank you. And the planner, the acting planner will be there. Okay, good. Questions for committee chairs. Anybody? Councillor Cleveland, were you going to bring up the communities in bloom, or you want to do that a little farther down?
I'll do it further down.
Okay, CAO, can you give us an overview on trees, limb, branch pickup, please? And maybe the job that the town crew did. I know they were out bright and early on Sunday at crack of dawn doing some work, and maybe just a little overview of what transpired just after the storm, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, as everyone knows, we had a bit of a storm on the weekend, suffered loss of numerous trees within the town, even more branches, some very big trees, old trees, and unfortunately, those are not easily replaced. So a lot of people lost communications, lost power. Still people within our county who have neither communications nor power. And our EMO folks are working together. We're bringing together our EMO organizations into one. Our coordinators worked very closely through beginning on Friday and continue today and will again tomorrow, working on our behalf to coordinate and to assist people who need help. Our public works staff, our town staff generally, many of our senior staff met on Friday to understanding what was coming, to kind of coordinate how we would communicate in different contingencies and work through the storm. So as the storm hit us and had the impact it did, our public works manager was very quick to mobilize his people, and I think they did a remarkable job in clearing the streets and sidewalks and doing everything they could to have the town infrastructure open and going. Our communications coordinator, I think, did an excellent job and continues to do an excellent job in terms of getting the word out to the community and on what it is that they can expect in terms of services, and taking information from EMO and others to keep the public informed. On the limb and branch cleanup, so we recognize, so Sunday morning, Her Worship, myself, the Public Works Manager, and our Communications Coordinator did a quick assessment of the impacts on the town, and saw an enormous number of trees and limbs and so on, and said, well, we will need to do some sort of cleanup or collection. So as we did after a storm about 5 years ago, our Public Works Managers arranged to have limbs collected. It will start on Monday in the south of town and proceed heading north. The intention is to collect limbs that people have on their property. We've asked them to bring those limbs to the edge of their property, butt out, so it's easier and more efficient to get a hold of those limbs and to get them into a chipper. They'll be chipped on site is the plan right now, chip as we go. So if people cooperate with us with those limbs, they can get through the town hopefully within the week. Other smaller debris like leaves and very small limbs that you can get in your compost cart, or you can bundle into small bundles to put next to your compost cart. Those will be picked up with regular organic collection. But these bigger limbs, which can be up to 6 feet long, we'd like you to stack those butt out at the edge of your property. And as I say, Monday morning, the work will begin. So, and that will be, as we say, we expect that to take a week. If there's any issue in terms of the efficiency of the chipping operation, we may resort to as a fallback, we might simply resort to a collection and chip later at a alternative site.
Okay.
But we're hoping to do the chipping right in the street as we go.
So I was at another meeting this afternoon, and I was told, even though maybe this might go to the water utility chair and to yourself, because you sent us an email about the tree that came down on Chestnut and almost to Chestnut and Main Street about the catastrophic effects it had on our water system. And I know I've heard that several times over the last 2 days, and I know that is not the case. So maybe just give us a little overview just on the. There's all kinds of other things going around about the tree, but maybe just the water situation.
Okay, so there's been no impact on the water system from that tree.
Can you say that again?
There's been no impact on the water system from that tree falling.
Okay, good.
The issue with that tree.
You said it twice, Sean.
The issue with that tree was that it came down on communication lines. Obviously, initially, it partially blocked the street. And again, our crews went to work to clear the street, but certainly didn't go near the communications infrastructure. Bell, as you can imagine, and Nova Scotia Power were very busy with many projects over the last few days, but last night they managed to get the communication wires disentangled, get the tree cut down to, I think now there's about 30 feet of tree remaining. So that tree actually sits on the property line between ourselves and the motel, and we have agreed to take leadership in removing the remainder of the tree, and the cost of that will be shared with the owner of the motel. And we've been in constant communication.
Ourselves.
Yes, constant communication, and so there's been some damage to street infrastructure in terms of the sidewalk, and obviously some tearing up of the lawn, the grass area where the tree was, and those areas will be remediated by the owners of the property.
Good. Councillor Barry.
I just want to, on behalf of us councillors, thank all the workers for the cleanup. I want to especially thank the Army, town crew, private citizens, friends, family members that supported people in need. Thank the public for not panicking, and we are managing to get through this. There are still people out there that are without power, and we're hoping drastically, as quickly as they can restore power. They've been without power for several days. They've lost a lot of food and stuff, and Yarmouth's a great supporter of helping. We're a great community for helping people. So when you're in that kind of state and you have no power, there's always either a family member or somebody from the community that will help you out. So I think we've managed to get through this. I think we've done really well, and I'm proud of our town and our citizens.
Thank you, Don. Okay, you got to, yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
So just two other things I wanted to mention. As I'm rambling on, I'm obviously missing people. I want to mention specifically Janine Doucette and Max Stuhlberger, our two EMO coordinators. They've put in an enormous number of hours over the last week in support of the effort. Councillor Barry mentioned the Army. The Army's come in and they've been great assistance in doing basically wellness checks. It's been primarily their work in the more rural areas where people are more remote and don't have neighbors close by. They've been knocking on doors and checking in on people. And the senior safety officer in the municipalities are going to follow up on those visits, because a lot of what they found were seniors that had lost communications and needed some assistance. So
Good.
that's good. I want to also mention that our fire department was proactive. When they saw the storm coming, they realized that, you know what, volunteers might not be as readily available if things get really bad, and so an extra platoon of firefighters came in and were located at the station, ready to respond if an emergency arose. And so, it was an all-out effort. Everyone was ready, and fortunately, we were brushed. Yes, sorry, we were brushed by this storm, and it could have been much worse, as it was in other parts of the province. And I also want to mention, Nova Scotia Power. Nova Scotia Power took an awful criticism, I think, a number of years ago when there was a storm, and province-wide there were similar outages, and they weren't as ready to respond. Well, this time they brought in, I think, 1,000 line workers from outside the province. They were positioned, they were ready to go. I get a lot of communication from Nova Scotia Power on what they're doing, including a personal phone call yesterday from the person in charge of the recovery in Halifax. She was calling every CAO in the province and then calling every customer they were calling every customer who was still without power, if they had communications, to talk to them and let them know what the situation was. So the rate at which they've been able to bring 70% of their customers were without power, the rate they've been able to bring people back online has been remarkable, and we've been able to follow it because they've been communicating very well. So a big thank you to them. And although it's cold comfort to those that are still without power, you know, I'm sure based on the efforts they put in so far that they'll get those people back online as soon as they possibly can.
Good, thank you. Any other questions for committee chairs? Okay, we'll go to additions. Councillor Cleveland, Pride Sidewalk.
All right, this has come up before. By the way, in case anyone is interested, there was a lot of discussion on when the Pride Parade would be happening this year. So I wanted to inform you what they were trying to do at one point was have it happen at the same time that Communities in Bloom was going on, just kind of to show that side of the town, which I was fine with, but unfortunately,
Steve's got Main Street.
Steve stole Main Street from us, and that's absolutely fine. That's fantastic. I'm very excited for that weekend. So this is kind of an aside, but very excited for that weekend for the fact that, you know, we're on full display here, and, you know, we're in the midst of cleaning up from a storm, but, you know, at the same time that we're doing an award ceremony that's going to involve 9 different countries, including Canada, we have the street, Main Street cut off because we're doing a big ground hockey tournament for a fantastic charity. And on the Sunday now, on the Sunday after CIB, now whether everybody will be there, most people will be journeying back at that point, but that's when the actual Pride Parade is going to happen. So it will be happening on the Sunday. So it was brought up to me again about some kind of a rainbow crosswalk.
What about, okay, can I ask a question, Wade, or maybe, we've had several discussions with our traffic person
have.
about that. Do you think instead of maybe a crosswalk, if we did from the corner of the street here to the corner of the street going up to in front of Frost Park?
I guess
If
it
we
would
could,
be,
could we do a section of a sidewalk?
that would be up to them. But I know that I was asked about this, and that's why I'm bringing it up. We have had it rejected wholeheartedly more than once by our traffic advisory, and that's fine. They have a right to do that as far as it goes. But I fail to understand why it's okay everywhere else. This isn't a new or novel idea. Crosswalks colored in the rainbow colors are everywhere. And so whenever I apologize, with all due respect to the traffic authority, I kind of roll my eyes when they say that it's a safety issue. I do. But maybe we could do that again. But here's the thing, and that's fine. You mentioned that. We had talked about that before. But it seems to me, and again, all respect to everyone here, we talk about it and then nothing happens. We need something to happen.
Jeff is going to have a comment on that, I believe.
So what council did approve in conjunction with the, I think it was with the ferry terminal renovation project, there's a motion to do a rainbow, some kind of a rainbow artistic thing, not on a crosswalk, but at the ferry terminal, and that's still on the books.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're talking a year, easily.
Easily.
Okay. See, that's,
I'm just telling you what's on the books.
I know what's on the books, but
The traffic authority will probably be at the next committee of the whole meeting. if you want to
perhaps the
talk-
traffic authority should be talked to, because
But we have a different traffic authority too. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff.
So the provincial traffic authority, not our local traffic authority, not that individual, but the provincial traffic authority holds that opinion that these are.
so when Halifax puts up a crosswalk,
Yeah.
they're in violation of something, and the provincial army comes down and
There's
Arrest
no
people.
penalty. There's no penalty.
that it's
nobody's gonna
nonsense.
fine.
I'm
Well,
sorry, but in
okay.
my opinion, it's utter nonsense. Just say it.
Go ahead.
Patience is a virtue.
Go ahead. Let him finish.
So it is a, when we deal with streets and sidewalks and signage and so on, traffic signals, we try to adhere to uniform traffic standards. There are standards and there are manuals. And this is something that is not covered within the manual. And I hear what you're saying, because I do see, and I think in the town of Wolfville, if I'm not mistaken, I think the walkway from town hall front door to the street is rainbow colored. So they found a way to do something there that didn't upset traffic authorities.
Okay.
And yet, at the same time, respect that initiative. So I have seen, I can't say I haven't, I have seen multicolored crosswalks in many different locations. The advice you've received from your traffic authority is not to do it on a crosswalk.
Well, I just kind of like to see it done in the next while and not just kind of pay lip service to it. I guess as much as anything. Fair enough on that, but I'd like to see something else done. I don't know if I need to make a motion. I understand we have done that when it comes to, and Councillor Hood is going to speak in a moment anyway, but I really feel that something should be done. A gesture needs to be made at the very least.
Thank you. Councillor Hood.
Do we fly the rainbow flag at any time on our flagstaff?
We did last year.
Your worship, it has been, the rainbow flag has been flown on the town hall flagpole.
Would it not be appropriate to fly it on the flagpole on the day of the parade? I'll leave that one and then move on to something else. They just removed 3D sidewalks in Halifax, or crosswalks in Halifax.
Yeah.
Okay? So I think that the traffic authority issue is real. But I don't see any reason why we couldn't find a stretch of sidewalk or something in Elma Square or something along front of Frost Park, a section of sidewalk, which is our business as to how we do and what we do, and have it done that way. That's what I think we could do, instead of trying to force the issue with the crosswalk. And if we do that, then we're not running afoul of the traffic authority, and we're probably doing it in a better way than it might be done if you had a crosswalk. They wear out pretty quick. So anyway, those are my
Yeah.
thoughts.
Councillor Berry.
I think I would support Councillor Hood's idea. I think we need to send our crew or send it back to you to investigate it right away. And I think we need to do it in a short time manner. I think this is something that's long overdue. I think that it's quicker we get it done, the quicker we show that we're supporting all different groups throughout our town and throughout our province. I'm even a gambler. I would say that if Halifax has done it, why are we always seem to be scared of the, I guess it's the road police, I guess that I would call them, behind the scene. I think sometimes you have to reach out there and take a stand. But I would support Cliff's idea. I think we need to get off our behind and do it right away. I don't think we need to wait until our term's over. I think we need to leave a legacy. Yeah, get it done.
You make that a motion, Councilor?
Yeah, so moved. I'm ready. Investigate the idea, and let's get it in, if you don't mind, and bring it back to the next meeting. Is that good? Second? Somebody?
There's two parts. One, fly the flag on the day of the parade.
Okay.
And the second part is look for, consult with people involved, and look for a decent, prominent portion of downtown sidewalk that we can make the rainbow color.
Okay, so you made a motion, I second.
Yeah, CAO.
I have a question. So part of what I heard Councillor Berry say was to come up with an idea, bring it back. So it isn't I heard a lot of urgency in there as well. So is it our intention to try and get something done before the Pride Parade?
It's kind of my hope.
The flag flying is perfect, and they know that we're working on the second part.
Yeah, but they've known that for a while, and we just keep talking.
It'd be
Yeah. Don, are you done with your light?
Oh, yeah, I'm done.
Cliff, yeah, I think the perfect, Councillor Cleveland, but I think the perfect location is from that corner over there to that corner over there in front of Town Hall and Frost Park, I think. But if we want to consult with the group, that would be a great opportunity to do that, and I don't know who we would contact to do that, but I think in front of Town Hall would be the perfect
Okay.
scenario, I think, but,
I'll reach out to one of the people that I know who's a part of the group. He's not the head of the group, but Pierre. I'll reach out to him.
and plus the other thing, Councillor Cleveland, if you look at it, from there to there is going to be about how many sidewalks? I mean, how many crosswalks?
Yeah, it's pretty prominent.
It's pretty
That
prominent,
does-
right? There's
that
gonna be-
satisfies me completely.
Yeah, there's probably 15 crosswalks lengths in that stretch of.
Yep,
So you'll take care of that part?
I will. I'll reach
Come
out to him.
back at, come back at committee of the whole?
When's committee of the whole?
The fourth Thursday of the month. Fourth Wednesday of the month, used to be the fourth Thursday. And then if we have to call it, cool. We don't have that much time.
It's pretty tight.
I think if you do something less than.
Flag is easy.
Yeah, 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 do the flag and then
Yeah,
the timeline for the communities in bloom is gonna be pretty near impossible the way it goes, right? If
Yeah.
you're gonna do the communication part, but the flag part's the most important right now, and then I think that other one could be done before the end of the year,
excellent.
right? If they're still paving in December, they can do some little painting, and
Sounds good to
if
me.
that's all right, and you'll
That's
take care of that and
completely
report back
satisfactory.
in, committee of the whole?
Sure,
Okay,
let's do
good.
it.
We'll get to your, you want to talk about the crosswalk after, Joe? Which one, buddy? Clifton Kirk, okay. We'll put that, Clifton Kirk, okay. Which one, coming that way or going that way? And the YMCA? Okay. Okay, we'll look at that. Get that down?
We're getting it down.
Okay, good. Have a look at that. Motion's on the floor. I don't know if there is a crosswalk, but it's been... No? Have a look at that. Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Thank you, everybody. Councillor Cleveland, Doug Melanson, CIB.
Okay, well, there's a couple of things about CIB. Let's start with the Doug Melanson part of it. At our last meeting, which was last week, I'm starting to lose track of the days. It's been fairly intense, and I do apologize. But at the last meeting we had, it was actually moved by
Me.
Deputy Mayor Mooney that it was mentioned, and the presentation was made when it comes to the Doug Melanson Park. It was mentioned that in order to finish everything that needed to be finished, about $10,000 was needed. And it was moved by Deputy Mayor Mooney that we should recommend, that CIB should recommend, that we should find some room in the budget, next year's budget, that perhaps we could supply that $10,000 ourselves. So that's the first part. And so I'd like to make that motion before we continue on.
Moved and seconded. Okay. You want to discuss that one and then go to the second part? Or do you want to? I think
So you've just referred that to budget, correct?
refer to budget, yes. So I'll make a motion that gets referred to budget. And Donnie seconded that. And plus the other portion of that is that we had ample discussion at the table about the volunteerism at that park, right? And I think if you had to pay those guys by the hour, the $10,000 would have been eaten up last year. So I think that's a great motion. Councillor Cleveland, we want to vote on that and then talk about the second part? Question's been called. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Go ahead, Wade.
Well, the second part is actually not any kind of a motion at all. It's just an update. Communities in Bloom's National Symposium is coming up the end of the month. Actually, the 25th, which is that Wednesday, is when things initially start up with some early arrivals. The main part of the actual symposium is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're very excited about it. We're planning a big, big event. We're looking at at least a couple of hundred delegates that are going to be here from all across the country, from other countries, from Slovenia, from Ireland, from many other areas. So we're bringing our best foot forward. We really are, and we're very excited about that. We were very worried about Dorian and the mess that it made. But, you know, the last time we went to Strathcona County in Alberta for last year's National Symposium because the group that's hosting the next year has a presence there and does quite a bit. And when we were there, it had snowed the week before. So, I mean, the fact that they're dealing with weather here is not that big a deal, not really. And so I'm very proud about that. As much as anything, I think transportation has been a huge issue, of course, getting people in to Halifax Airport and then making sure they can be bussed down. But that's being taken care of as we go, and that's one of our major things. So there's the update part of it. The other part I would like to mention, this may require a motion, but I wanted to inform you that I'm going to try, with the help of Councillor Steve here too, to organize a cleanup. Now, the initial parts of it has already been taken care of, not the cleanup part, but the organization of it, and that is the cleanup at the ends of both highways, which has nothing to do with the town, obviously. We actually had to have permits for that, but there's a group on the 21st, that's the Saturday before, a week before, that the bottom part of the highways, 103 and 101, should be cleaned up, so because there's always a mess there. But I'd like to do a town cleanup at that time as well. Councillor Barry very generously volunteered to do some barbecuing perhaps on that day. And what I'm hoping to do is engage everyone that I can, including reaching out to the schools, be it the high school, the Maple Grove School, the community pride group that they have there, Boy Scouts, cadets, everyone, and do just an overall cleanup of the town. Of course, because of the mess that we have here, because of Dorian, a lot of people are cleaning up the yards anyway. But so I was hoping to get that done. I don't know if I require any kind of a motion or just let you know that that's what we're trying to put together. Yeah.
Right. Good.
Okay.
Thank you for the update, Wade.
Okay. He mentioned maybe we should get a motion to get some barbecue food for the 21st.
Cook it if you bring it.
I don't know. Do we have room in a budget for that?
Well, we'll figure it out.
Okay, sounds good.
Figure out what you need, Steve. We'll figure it out.
Sounds good.
Good, Wade. I'll be honest with you, keep your light on, sir. Yarmouth Elementary, I think you said parking.
Okay, before I do that, we have to have our vote for the Communities in Bloom. That wasn't voted on yet. Or do you want to?
The 10,000 one?
Yeah.
I think we already did that.
Did we do that?
We did that,
Did
yep.
we get the vote?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
We referred to budget. Wade, Yarmouth Elementary, and I went by there today, and there was a mother putting a child in a car at 2:30. So the door was open, and it did block one lane of traffic going
Yeah.
up. I was going home, so going up Brunswick Street. It was, yeah, tight.
It's a little tight there. I've been contacted by a few people who have attended the Yarmouth Elementary. And again, I mean, this is new, right? So it brings a whole new traffic area to it. And I was contacted by a couple of people that it's dangerous there, not only at the beginning of the day, but at the end of the day as well, but both a bit of an issue. And so I went there today and kind of stood on the sidewalk and looked creepy as all the kids came out and watched how the traffic went. And yeah, we have a couple of issues there. First one being, and I have no idea whose authority this part is, but the school zone hasn't been changed. So in other words, there's a sign that's on Brunswick Street that says end school zone in front of the school. So that is something that has to be looked at. That school zone needs to be expanded to fit where the school is right now. The other issue, and again, this all should be sent back to the traffic authority. The other issue is people are parking on both sides of the street, okay? Brunswick Street isn't very big. So the minute you get people parking on both sides of the street, what you're getting is one lane traffic, basically, and it becomes a bit of a mess when everybody's trying to get in and out. So perhaps well, again, I leave that to the traffic authority, but I think we're going to have a no parking area on at least one side, right?
Yeah, I went down Grand Street because of the cars were backed up right to Grand from Parade.
The other thing is, here we go again, sidewalks. And I've been doing I do a lot of studying when it comes to this, just generally, in terms of being a counselor. And there's a group called Strong Towns that I follow fairly closely. And it's become more and more common in towns now that people are starting to realize that it doesn't matter where you put the sidewalks. People are going to walk where they're going to walk, whether they're adults or children or whatever. And what I'm seeing is, as a real problem there is you have the school. On the Parade Street side, that's where the buses go in and out. And it's wonderful there. It's perfect. It's cut off from everything. The buses are for mostly South End children, right? Because the rest of the area is constricted. Everybody's just walking or driving. On the Brunswick side, that's where the traffic is. So you have, as I mentioned, you've got both sides. People are parking there. But there's also there's a roundabout in there where they can go in, pick up their kids, and come back out again. But it's all integrated. It's entrance and exit right there in that same spot. So that jams things up with the double. So people are coming in and out, and they really can't see there. They're halfway out into the road before they can see what's going on because there's one-lane traffic there, basically. So there's that. Now, when it comes to crosswalks, on that Brunswick side, that's where everybody's leaving. They're all leaving. They're not going Parade. Or if they're leaving through the school and they're going to Brunswick and then they're walking up to Parade. But that exit leads them through a walkway to Brunswick Street, okay? You've got a crosswalk on the corner of Parade and Brunswick, okay? You do have a crosswalk higher up on the corner of Grand Street and Brunswick. I saw 3, at least, cars drive right through that sidewalk. They're not paying attention to it. The crosswalk, I'm sorry, not sidewalk. Grand. It links Grand and Brunswick, okay? It's not a 4-way, but, there is a crosswalk there. And actually, on Grand itself, people are crossing, and there's a lot of motion back and forth, which makes it fairly dangerous. And I know there's nothing you can do about that. There's a crosswalk there, but people tend to ignore it. But what I was building up to when it comes to the exit part, there's a crosswalk here, there's a crosswalk here. In the middle, there's no crosswalk. That's where the walkway leads to the street, to the sidewalk. Nobody uses the crosswalks. They're running across the road. And I know that's dangerous, but I know how people are. Because that's how they're going. It's not so much a why.
Is it because there's cars parked on the other side of the road they're trying to get to?
Yes, often yes. Not always, though. There are also people who are running across the road and then walking down the road. But it seems like everybody who's leaving, who are crossing the road, are not using the sidewalks at all. They're using that walkway. Like where the walkway ends, they're running directly across the road. Now, I know that's not safe. I know that's not the way it's supposed to be. I also know that the tendency with towns these days, as I mentioned, is to understand the fact that people are going to take the path of least resistance. I think there should be a crosswalk there. They probably will ignore it just as much as they ignore the other ones. But if we could put a crosswalk there, even with, and I don't know if we can afford a set of lights up above. I don't mean traffic lights, I mean button press, be careful, there's a crosswalk here lights. Not a traffic, but the ones, the same kind of lights that are used on the cross on Main Street further down. That kind of thing, if that could be set up there, I think it would help.
Right at the end of the driveway.
Yeah. But regardless, and I know I see the look on your face, regardless, I do believe that if nothing else, this is just a preamble to the traffic authority needs to look at that situation, because there is one there.
Oh, geez. What's going on over here? Go ahead, Councilor McLeod.
Thank you, Wade. I've spoken to one of the same people that you've spoken to, and I make my own observations just living around the corner on Grand Street. And the fact that, you know, it's when people who live in the area park on the street, sometimes 24/7, it makes it narrow any time of the day and to travel. So, you know, we just need to have a really serious look at that from a traffic authority point of view. And I'm not sure what we can do, but attendance, I know when I visit Halifax, when my car allows me to get beyond Port Maitland, I see people guarding the zones, guarding the, you know, stopping traffic, allowing people to pass across the street. So maybe we need that as a start off for each year to educate people to the changes that have taken place, new locations, and but I think it is serious, and as when you travel up Brunswick Street and you get from Parade and you get to Grand, Brunswick veers slightly to the left, and when vehicles park right at the corner of Grand and Brunswick and Upper Grand, the street is narrow, and so I just and people get nervous when your drivers get nervous too, and so I just want to encourage a good look at that, and maybe if it is the traffic authority, he or she could speak with Wade and myself for sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Barry.
I think probably we started off with one side of those, and I'm assuming the one closest to the school itself, because if you come out, you need to be able to look left and right. And I find if you do come out of there and you have cars there, you're edging yourself out, and you're finding it very difficult. So I think if we were looking at a solution that we can do fairly quickly, would be look on this side closest to the school and allowing no cars along there, no parking of any sort on this side, from there up to at least as far as Grand Street. And I think there would be right away we'd be putting the safety of children as our first priority. Kids I remember running out across the street quick as, we're still going to get that, but at least we'd be able to see further down the road.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hood.
I don't think you have a traffic problem. I think you have a people problem. Disagree. But we're only 3 days into this. How many school days you had? 3 or 4? 4 school days. Wouldn't we wait a little while? I mean, you know, we're jumping into this thing. Wouldn't you wait a little while for people to kind of figure out the traffic patterns and that? And what are we doing, busing kids in town to school? Holy goodness. Anyway, we are. Let's just give it a little bit of time here, let it sort itself out.
Just a comment. I think the problem that we're running into is if you drive your car down, regardless if you wait forever, if you drive your car down the middle of there, it seems like, and I live for 2 or 3 streets up that road, and I never take that road. I've always taken down where you lived, going down and then going down that way. But if I did take that street, if you drive your car and there's 2 cars on both sides, it now looks like a one-way. It almost looks like a one-way street. You could fix it by making it a one-way street, but I'm just saying, I don't think it's the kids, I don't think it's any of that. I think it's the direct parking on both sides. You can't get 2 cars through there. It seems very scary, and I drive a fairly big car, but, you know, people that buy smaller ones probably can.
Jim could get 5 of his cars across there.
But if you look, if you drive there
On
tomorrow
both
during
sides.
the peak time, it's the 2 cars.
So the people that are trying to drive through there, not pick up the job.
No, they're just trying to go the straight.
Well, they're going to figure that out. Say, oh God, that's 3:30 coming up. I better not go through there. I'll go another way.
I've already figured that out, yeah. I don't go there.
So, Jeff, you've got those notes, and you're going to pass that on. Thank you very much. Councillor Hood, about the letter of congratulations.
Your Worship, we have a strong relationship with our colleagues at municipal government in the adjoining riding of Argyll. recently had a by-election in that Argyle-Barrington municipality, and a young man by the name of Colton LeBlanc was elected MLA to serve in that riding until the next general election in the province. And I think it would be in order for the Council of the Town of Yarmouth to congratulate the MLA on his election to the legislature of the province of Nova Scotia.
Good job. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? 13E, was that in-camera personnel?
I make a motion that we move in camera when the council meeting finishes to discuss personnel issues. Legal with council.
Second. Moved and seconded. Councilor McLeod, all those in favor? Aye. No other additions. Approval of the invoices, please. Moved by Councilor Berry, seconded by Councilor Berry. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? A date of the next meeting, CAO is October the 10th. So we already have a motion to go in camera. So thank you, everybody. Joe, what do you got there, buddy? Show the hat? Oh, here, wide presentation, maybe? There, oh, you got them? Yeah? Oh, yeah, we got you, Joe. Yeah, there you are, Joe. We got you.